With every game Octalysis plays in this series, they're adding more and more melee. You know, the first game, they had to come back from behind, but they looked confident, they looked strong, they looked good in Game 2 versus Simplicity.
Things are very strong, and for Octalysis, they are the team that needs to prove that they are at the top. And it comes at starting to win 3-0s. You can't start to give up like they did in Tempo Storm, and circumstances seem to be in their favor this series, so definitely working out. And I'm real curious. Simplicity, they love first pick. Despite having a lower win rate as first pick traditionally, they still love it. But I want to see them take control of Battleground. We know they love to go back to towers. They're going to do it. I think this is where they take us to towers, show us why you love towers and why you're actually good at towers, because that's where they make their magic happen.
It's their best hammer map. They truly have a lot of good shot calling around that. So let's see if that's going to be the case. Yes, it is.
We did it.
They did it. Simplicity, they've been willing to switch things up before, though I will caution, it feels like teams have been figuring out their hammer more and more, though they played versus Tempo, and Tempo took away a lot of what made that Towers of Doom hammer game so successful for them initially, and then we saw the Brightwing. We still saw some globals to try to deal with the inflexibility, the immobility of Sergeant Hammer, and that game was crazy. It was an awesome game. If you missed it, Towers of Doom between Simplicity and Tempo Storm, it's one of my favorites of all of this phase. There was action everywhere.
For these teams, they share similar success rate. For Octalysis, they struggle as first pick as well. They're going to find it here. 28% first pick, 60% win rate prior to these last two games. So definitely a team that likes to play with that second pick. And I think a lot of teams are finding counters within that. And we'll see if Octalysis will get that first pick win rate up here, or whether we'll see Simplicity actually continue to gain their momentum when they do pick Battleground.
Truly, I wrote down, does Octalysis ban Towers of Doom? Because it feels like this is the place where Simplicity gets a game win. But Simplicity can't rely on just game wins. They need series wins if they're going to prove that they hang with the top of North America. And past to Towers of Doom, if they can get a win here, that's where we start looking at things, because Volskaya, they've been willing to pick Sergeant Hammer, though it has not been to the same success. And they might not even get Sergeant Hammer here. Octalysis may just simply ban her away.
You can rest assured that Chromie is going to be on one side here unless that gets banned as well. Octalysis sitting at 0-2 so far in this phase. Simplicity 2-1 so far. So see how the battles come in. Again, the very diverse drafts, and you put it as expect the unexpected, and so far for Octalysis, their drafts continue to fit that mold. I mean, they continue to just think outside of the box.
But I think that what has been successful for Octalysis in this series is that it's Justing's Muradin. Because as much as we talked about Draded playing Malthael, the flexibility of this team, the Chromie of Prismaticism, Justing be able to lead the charge, supplement damage with his Perfect Storm, and be a nuisance wherever he wants to be very accurate with this Muradin too, has felt like they have bringing the aggression to Simplicity in a way that it's almost too hard for Simplicity to handle, especially once they started thinking outside the box and how to approach the hammer on Volskaya Foundry too.
Justing coming into this series, 7 heroes, 7 different tanks in 12 games. That is way outside of the norm in our current meta. And Johanna is going to be that first pick. A very strong hero. If you are going to be playing against the hammer, does do well against the hammer. No longer has the physical armor. This is the reworked Johanna, as the armor was taken away from several of our tanks. So still strong, very strong. The iron skin with this, basically the self-cleanse there, and the blind to deal with it.
All right. Every global but Abathur is up. Simplicity does not simply want their Sergeant Hammer, they want Sergeant Hammer with globals too. And they have their pick of the litter here, so if they want Sergeant Hammer and don't want it to be banned away, or perhaps taken by Octalysis, who have been willing to play her, a Sergeant Hammer and a global, maybe Zuna's Dahaka, maybe Falstad for the disengage.
Yrel and Dahaka, I think, have to be picked up here. Also, I think they're going to risk giving up one and then the other one being banned against them. The Dahaka, I agree with you. He has had a major influence on games when he's on that Dahaka. And so I'm not surprised to see that. Some of the plays he's made on Dahaka are plays I didn't always anticipate. That also, you thinking what I'm thinking?
Tracer?
T-Racer, yeah. Wait, are you not thinking that?
I am.
Okay.
I am loving it because now Octalysis are faced with a difficult decision in the bans. Who do you ban? But Malfurion is not the same as Deckard Cain with Sergeant Hammer from what we've seen. And that focus of Malfurion over is this, do they just want Sergeant Hammer again and they're trying to force you into Tracer ban instead? These are the things that Simplicity just, when it comes to drafting around the Hammer, it feels like they think out every single time. It really reminds me of Gale Force Esports on Braxis holdout days. Like every time you think that they can't have anything left, they have a new iteration on the draft.
If Hammer, Tracer does struggle at times playing into Hammer, but it's early enough in the draft that you can find ways to supplement that. You haven't shown a lot. Dahaka and Malfurion obviously aren't a lot. Yrel Phoenix, very safe picks here. So you have your solo. You have one of the best tanks in the game, and then you've got Phoenix, one of the best damage dealers that we have. So Yrel, Johanna, very hard for Tracer to kill. Johanna does do well blinding Tracer, and Phoenix, as we know, can warp out of the Pulse Bomb. So not exactly Pulse Bomb targets just yet.
Do Simplicity ban Deckard Cain? Is this a Thrall? Octalysis have been very melee heavy this series.
Depending on what they want to go with, we've seen Zeratul come out for this team. And this is a potential Zeratul battleground. You have enough damage in Phoenix that if you wanted to get a little bit flashy and go heavy melee, Zeratul would fit. Thrall, of course, is there, but Zeratul if you're looking for the playmaker.
I think Deckard is a safer ban. If you're not sure where Octalysis wants to run with these objectively just strong heroes, Johanna, Yrel, and Phoenix, Deckard Cain is a very safe one. Tracer ban.
Yeah, I don't blame him. That means we might not see Hammer. Well, I mean, it's still Simplicity. Hanzo, I want to see a Hanzo. If you want to run that, Hanzo on this battleground, super strong, can play around the camps, plays very well with scatter arrow build. There's so many different ways to bounce that off and really disrupt, I think, a lot around the altars while having a high impact. So
the thing is, are you saying Hanzo for Simplicity?
Yes.
With a hammer? Or you want
No,
just Hanzo instead?
just Hanzo,
no
period.
hammer. Okay. So I was like, if you're talking to Hanzo and hammer, then you have K1 Pro probably back on Sergeant Hammer, and it does feel like the little things about Hammer. Maybe Hosty's a little more practiced with them. It was a tough game to play Hammer into, though. There was a whole lot of stun lock happening. There's your Hanzo.
I think they're going to murd in here unless they're afraid that they might give up a Hammer, in which case, okay.
Oh, Garrosh.
The Garrosh. A bit surprising. Phoenix has the slow. Yrel has the knockback. Johanna has the iron skin.
And that could be
So
a Jaina too,
Jaina.
or Hammer too.
Just all the above.
You just... She's coming in somewhere, guys.
I think it's avoidable. I think it's avoidable, but for Octalysis, I mean, I'm thinking maybe Tychus, but Tychus shorter auto attack range against a Garrosh. Jaina for Draded here, the ultimate slow in and control of the Garrosh. Like, good luck walking in because you're slowed.
That's what I thought. If Simplicity wanted to get Jaina, that would have been the place too. So then you have a ton of damage between Jaina and Hanzo. And now Jaina could fit with that composition really well, and Garrosh could struggle here. Is there something else? Is this a Li Ming game again? Yes, it is.
They like the Li Ming. I mean, Jaina could still fit here for this team as well. Just trying to think. K1 Pro. So I would venture to guess they were even considering Li Ming for themselves. Falstad could show up here. We've seen a really good K1 Pro Falstad. Gives you the double global if you want to play around that, which we've seen some teams do.
Yeah, Gus to reset things if it's looking like Li Ming is the one hoping for those resets. I think it'll be Jaina purely to try to have The King Caffeine K1 Pro, Garrosh Jaina follow-up burst damage, Malfurion Roots.
That shows some roots, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. Do we keep it classic? Keep it simple here for Simplicity?
Nope. I mean, it is classic for them. We're doing it again.
But
yes.
I'm not really feeling it in this comp.
Okay.
I'm just not.
You weren't feeling it with the Hammer Chromion Volskaya, and it did last for a while. Simplicity Towers Hammer, I'll put my trust into it. I agree, especially with the duration of time for that hammer pick. It felt like, are we sure about this? Is this where our Towers Sergeant Hammer record is marred? Or can we still put our faith in this?
Do you have faith in it?
K1 Pro's playing Hanzo, so that is quite the change up. I don't know, man.
I'm not feeling it. The Li Ming pick could have been the Jaina, but the Li Ming does give you safer range against a Garrosh, so you have a lot of control with the Johanna Urel and a Garrosh. We haven't seen a Garrosh into the... Johanna started to become a more natural counter. Now we're seeing the Garrosh with the Urel. You're not tossing either one of those in. Iron Skin, obviously, for Johanna. See if we get the Iron Skin cooldown reduction at level 1, or whether it's going to be the Laws of Hope for the healing. But I don't know where Garrosh finds his control against this composition.
I think if Simplicity can stay alive through the what I think is going to be Purification Salvo set up for resets for Li Ming, they can heal back up, and the poke is going to be enough between the Sergeant Hammer and the Hanzo that they're just... Octalysis are going to be forced off of points. And it goes back to what we have seen Simplicity focus on. Bottom lane control for the mid and the bot altars. Top, maybe Dahaka gets a safe one. Maybe they get given up and then they just keep a hold of all of the sappers. Zuna can't get picked. So let's see if, again, they can put their faith in Hammer on Towers of Doom, or if Octalysis closes this out 3-0.
My faith, I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this. My faith is in Johanna.
It's been a wild ride for you in that hero, hasn't it?
Well, I mean, you know, when Johanna first made her way back into the meta, it's like, man, I'm really tired of being tethered by my F, so I'm just going to pick Johanna and Iron Skin away and literally do nothing in return. That was Johanna in a nutshell right around March. Well, this is happening. We've seen some changes, and then mid-season Brawl showed that there are other uses for Johanna, especially against Garrosh and Maiev, but both of those heroes nowhere near as prevalent in our current meta.
Well, talking about Johanna versus Garrosh, Hold Your Ground is the choice of talent for Justing, increasing the Iron Skin shield by 30% and the cooldown reduction, trying to have that unstoppable for longer. While you have that shield up, you're able to get to have that, and she's going to be the one trying to eat some of the cooldowns and also go in to get the setup on Sergeant Hammer, as Justing just showed there. He's going to want to have that available and up as much as possible.
Part of me wonders if this might be the map where you switch up your level 1 Sergeant Hammer build for the Maelstrom rounds. I mean, I don't necessarily recommend it. Tiger JK, he's taking a bit of damage. Totem goes down for the slow. He's going to walk away. Nice Moonfire when they're all clumped up, and the Groundbreaker in return does eat a lot of damage, but they are able to walk away safely.
Simplicity are going to keep Hanzo in the mid, but he can agility over the wall to start working on the sappers. Both teams have that in their eye lines. Urel is going to be going back and forth between the lanes so that the team of Octalysis, the 4-man, can stick together to go for the invade here. Iron Skin to see if Justin can step on the point. Not going to do so. May have become vulnerable to the rest of the team there. Got thrown back after that. So we'll just see the sappers go head-to-head in this bottom lane.
No, Stukov this game, nothing's being denied. Prismat eats a bit of damage, gonna force out the heals there. There's the knockback, but the Sappers do make it through, which means the Sappers on the side of Simplicity probably gonna have a little bit tougher time making their way forward as Prismat continues to poke.
Yeah, they're not gonna do too much more from this. And this already bodes well for Team Octalysis. The faster that Simplicity can take down this bottom lane, the better that Sergeant Hammer becomes with her control over pretty much everything south of that mid lane.
Goku holding the lane on Yrel. Such a strong hero. A little sneak around there by Phoenix, making sure not to path through vision and go up there and they can grab that point. If that does get sniffed out by Zuna, a lot of damage, but overall control there for Yrel, being able to get that knockback.
Yes, and another thing going really well for Octalysis, because the teams that play versus Simplicity Sergeant Hammer on this map like to get the top lane, and then you have control over all of the altars in the top, or better control over that. It's questionable, your opponent's safe one, but then also the boss, and it makes sure that you are trading out evenly in shots. Prismaticism finds a Hosty in a bush, hits him with the orb. He's pretty low. And the trading channels, the safe altars, but there is the slow on King Caffeine, allowing for a lot of poke. Uses Indomitable to run away, but this is a full chase in, and Jesting will be thrown it, but with that wall already down, it's not gonna net much. Now with the resets rolling in, 3 kills, the blink of an eye for Octalysis.
That has potential to be so much more in just a matter of moments. Again, Prismat showing he likes the change up at level 4, getting some bonus damage after those magic missiles hit. So not the health on takedowns.
That is a problem. Not something that Simplicity were wanting to do, and now Zuno's gonna come under fire. That just slows him down from being able to run up to the top lane. He'll get there, make his way there eventually, but what I'm looking at is not only a lead in the core shots, but importantly for Octalysis, a level lead very early in this game. And that should let them run around. It gives them some room to do things like this, to bring Goku down. That's... he's gotta jump back out.
Oh, looks so good. Nice knockback there, gonna keep the condemn, but this is a lot of Sappers. Cap coming in with an aggressive flank cleanse is gonna be used, and now Cap, he's in trouble. Moonfire's gonna land, but the damage is there. There's gonna be a reset. There's gonna be some extra damage coming in. They help keep the Sappers at bay, but at what cost? That level lead is amassing to a larger and larger amount of control as we see Yrel moving up and down on that minimap, while the 4-man down here just wreaking havoc against Simplicity.
Yeah, it feels fairly panicked for Simplicity. Calf went in, he wanted to get a throw. There wasn't any roots to be able to follow up with that. Then Dahaka hoping for a drag, but Iron Skin was great from Justing to stop that. Simplicity just can't find the answers that they would like. Prismaticism has kept constant poke toward this Sergeant Hammer from Hosty, and then Draded comes in with his own version of that. Here's the start. Zuna takes heavy casualties just to get in and try to stop this, forcing it into the fray.
Goku comes in with a big hammer, and he's going to knock them back. Draded gets tossed in. There's going to be the drag, and that's a moment where we're going to see Simplicity get some control over this. K1 Pro continuing to fire away. Scatter arrow's not able to hit, but King Caffeine able to walk forward, as is Tiger JK. That is a sorely needed kill there for Simplicity.
It was, and it was well on them to notice that Buds was the one channeling. A lot of times you put the support there because the support wants to be back anyway. But with the channel then, Octalysis stepped forward and getting that kill for Simplicity. Buds stopped the channel hoping he could get in for the heal in time. Wasn't doing that, didn't get the channel either. Simplicity gets both. They get the kill, which catches them up somewhat in experience, though we still see Octalysis with the level lead and heroics, but also keeps them in the league of Octalysis as far as the core health.
They should be able to get back into 10, and fortunate for them as we see the minimap just now spawning. The altars will be on the neutral side in that top, those two spawning. Generally, we'll see a trade there. Simplicity, there's no need to get desperate at this moment. Even core health, they are down structurally overall as these Sappers will continue to push through. So they've lost the top wall. They've taken some damage in that bot lane. You know, they don't have to worry now but they have to be very much aware and cautious of giving up much more than they already have.
Well, I think that's going to come in the form of a second Sapper camp for a second time for Octalysis, because Simplicity getting 10 this late, and Octalysis with such a good rotation to get their Sappers now can step forward here. Simplicity have Heroics. Dahaka's going to stalk in, Blunt Force Gun, and the Dragon's Arrow, but Zuna has taken such damage before they can even get to that point. 2 blown up, and Prismaticism would love to get more resets. There's one that's given to him by Goku. K1 Pro, can they get him? Do they have the hammer? Dodges the orb, dodges everything, and barely lives.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it looked like Zuna had just gotten out of stunned, and he didn't burrow under, and then I think he thought he was going to live, but it was a really good follow-up there by Prismat to continue to make plays on this Li Ming, and a lot of that is working in their favor, as now they should still get the trade, but the Sappers here mean so much more. The bot lane control, there is a hammer that will be able to siege up on this. It's not like other compositions where you have a hard time sieging back in to take control. But with Octalysis, how much will they be willing to commit to this lane? Because Hosty can just sit out of range just like this and try and reclaim control. This is very different than some of the other teams that have given away the bot lane.
That fight happened. Octalysis got 2 kills and didn't have to use Ancestral Healing is especially telling for how the team fights in the early game have been going. Justin's going to move in, open to get on the Sergeant Hammer. Both of them had the self-unstoppable, indomitable, and the siege tactics from Hosty. But this stalls out the retaking of this bottom bell tower a little bit longer for Octalysis, who now have 13 and a level and a half, level and a little bit more, some change over Simplicity.
It feels like the control has been there. That one pick was great, but since then, Prismat is just continuing to explode targets there. There's going to be the armor and the self-cleanse, making sure to get out of there. They have to keep down to about 40%, which is a very promising sign to get back into this game. They don't have to worry about committing too much as Dahaka clearing top. No Sappers for a while, so see if they can wrestle control here as the next altar will be that mid area. 13 still a ways away, though, for Simplicity.
It's a great choice from Octalysis just to focus on this bottom lane, because it nullifies a lot of what Simplicity wants to do or what they even can do. And they knew that the next altar was going to be just a solo altar in the mid. And that bell tower is going to slow down significantly, Simplicity being able to set up around this, as well as the lack of 13 talents. Dahaka can try to get that, and they do have some poke to try to stall this out until he can stalk in and give them that fight necessary. But they might not get to that point with this flank.
Ooh.
Blessed.
Big time combos landing there. Prismat just bodied King Caffeine. The hammer was nice from Goku, but Prismat literally landed everything, including the Wave of Force, and knock him back and say, come here, big boy, I'm not done yet. That was insane play. That is efficiency if you've ever seen it. Caldor would be proud.
A little bit of German efficiency for Prismaticism, proving that he, though he hasn't gotten a Li Ming win yet, definitely deserves one and is well on his way to getting one in this phase. Another channel, but bottom was taken back. Still, the poke that Prismat's been putting in, not only on heroes, but on structures too. Whatever he can get those skill shots to connect with, he is more than happy to do it. Sappers start to run in, and bottom's taken back in. Simplicity have had enough. We're going to start the fight. Prismaticism would be the likely target, but his positioning has been sound. No dominance necessary for this player.
A totem put down there by Buds. The Iron Skin usage to make sure you get out of potential isolation range or even drag range, depending on what comes first. And then to buy a little bit of space for the last duration of that Iron Skin was the totem. So just perfectly executed by that disengage. It's so small, so subtle, but so well played.
Prismat starts the siege with the rest of the team, landing some magic missiles. Octalysis almost have 16 for a triple altar phase. This one's going to hurt, J-How.
I mean, if they grab all 3 altars in a boss, it's game over. Like, you
done
can't
deal.
avoid it. And Hosty and team, they're going to try and reclaim this. I don't know if they're going to get there. Urel and Phoenix are the ones at the top, while the action clearly here at the bottom. Extra magic missiles, even more threatening towards that hammer.
Leading up to this series, Prismaticism was averaging 3rd highest in hero damage dealt in the world. 6th in average hero damage per minute, something that we talked about with Lutano yesterday. We have some heavy hitters here in North America, and Prismaticism is putting on a show with his leaming in this one. Simplicity are forced to take some risky decisions and make these moves, but Zuna, he's going to be likely to be the one to give that first reset if he can't get out of here, which he does with his essence. He backs off, he has the mobility, but unfortunately was not able to cap that altar.
They're going to turn their attention back towards the bot lane, and you can see Octalysis is very much aware that Prismat leading the charge does have that long-range poke to deal with Sergeant Hammer, who's going to go ahead and siege up for now. A few minions here available. Justin looking to come in for the flank. No Garrosh, no Hanzo just yet. As they start to make their way down, King Caffeine gives a simple hello to Justin. Hey, how you doing?
Force him to use Iron Skin. Justin's fine to just use that to his advantage. We'll throw out the Blessed Shield too. Great cleanse from Buds.
And a little bit of sidestep action. The self-cleanse, the cleanse coming out on all sides here.
But it hasn't amounted to stopping Octalysis and these sappers. No, not yet. Another flip. This one's on Goku, who knocks back the front line. King Caffeine takes damage, takes some more damage. Purification Salvo is drated, confidently steps forward.
Oh, that isolation is going to be enough. They trade out kills here, but the taunt into the isolation. Hosty has to be careful. Justine eating a bit of damage. The return damage by Drated is a lot. He's going to burrow under, dodge some skill shots, so Simplicity does pick up their second kill of the game. But we're going to see Octalysis grab another Sapper camp, and it is double altar phase. This might be checkmate.
Simplicity have been trying for forever to get 16, forcing to bring down Zuna just to stave off, which has felt like the inevitable from Octalysis, the way they've held this bottom lane. Finally, 16 is here for Simplicity, and they're going to need to use it. Now's the time to fight, if I have ever seen one.
Can't give up a channel. They already have Rhaegar at the bottom. Prismat, he's going to try and wave a force. That's all he's got to do. Wave a force. BFG is actually going to interrupt. Zuna eats a lot of damage, does use his essence. He's going to heal up for now. Here comes the Dragon Arrow. That's going to miss. Hosty and team, but the Sabo out in return. Ancestral already landed.
Zuna is burrowing to avoid a lot of that damage, but it doesn't matter. He is within the Lion's Den, gets taken out. Goku jumping in similarly. Simplicity has to keep fighting for this, but now Hosty is way away from where he would like to be, which is behind his team. They just can't bring Johanna down, but they do so as K1 Pro dives over the wall. He is met by Phoenix, who brings him down and looks for more. Finally, a team wipe allows Octalysis to finish out this game in the series 3-0.
That is all she wrote. Now Octalysis getting a 3-0 has got to feel good. It's their first 3-0 of this phase. They're also at 500. Just going to climb up the ladder just a little bit. Again, getting more and more into safer territory to get to one of those top 4 spots. They desperately needed this win to make sure and establish this. Again, their losses have been to Tempo Storm and Heroes Heart, so there is a bit more to deal with going forward.
But it's gotta be a good feeling to head into that match versus Endemic, knowing that Endemic is gonna fight tooth and claw in that series. After losing to Team Freedom in Game 5, Endemic, that is a must-win match. So now for Octalysis to go into that match 3-0, feeling really good after being able to deal with Simplicity at their finest, Sergeant Hammer on Towers of Doom. It's gotta be a good feeling.
Well, it was a good feeling all around. I think a lot of it was just overall control, the amount of kills, and Prismat, skill shot-wise, was just blasting people this game. We're actually going to take a look at another replay from this series, and it was that first invade on that Sapper camp, which is when the control really started to come in. And, you know, 10 was picked up, and that's where King Caffeine and team can come in. But the positioning, Sergeant Hammer, excuse me, we actually have Hanzo just outside of range, so he's got to make his way over. Dahaka's going to come in the backside. King Caffeine goes in, but the amount of slows and control that Prismat has in this situation, it's just so overwhelming. And a lot of that, again, was when I pointed that out, was about Zuna taking all that damage. And once one reset starts, Prismat comes in and just starts cleaning house. And it was just such a turning point in this game. It was already in favor, as it's just one after another, as K1 Pro is able to walk away there. But it was just such a turning point in that game that's when you relinquish bot lane control. That's when you release just the ultimate lane in almost any map, it feels like, is that bot lane on Towers of Doom. And they could never find their way back in for Simplicity after that. Yes, they came in. Zuna getting picked off to start that before it really started hurt really bad. And then Prismat, again, just everything landed so well for him. I'm just sneaking at the numbers: 5 kills, 0 deaths that game. Very, very heavy impact in this game, in this series, I should say.
And like you said, no dominance necessary for Prismaticism. No. It's all damage all the time. And that does go to the rest of the team, the synergy there, the setups, the strong soaking of any abilities from Justing on that Johanna, so that Prismaticism and Draded can do what they do best, which is just kill things. I think that a lot of that match and that game, you know, Zuna, it wasn't any different than what we've seen before. Like, he's still showing good plays. It's just there was a lot more punishment in this series, and that's a lesson that Simplicity can take and go forward with.
I mean, again, a lot of it for me is simply Octalysis. Where does your bread and butter lie? We saw Hanzo Li Ming, and that was in game number 1. And then we saw another Li Ming game here, and it seems to be working out for them. The Chromie pickup, things of that nature seem like that's more of their identity. But looking over at other regions, mage play is not always going to be the first choice. When you look at Phoenix, you look at Hanzo, of that nature. We don't really see Genji because he's always banned out. But Tracer, I want to see them start to develop more strategies around that. Take a look at Fnatic. I mean, a lot of mage play is great, but if it doesn't work, it falters at times. And once you get behind, it's tough. And so again, for Octalysis, still developing an identity, but definitely narrowed that hero pool a little bit more today.
Well, let's hear from the Li Ming master himself, Prismaticism. Hey, Prismat, congratulations. You get this 3-0 win. Obviously, a rough week last week. So how are you guys feeling now after this big win?
Everything's feeling a lot better. We had some issues to work on last weekend, and it really showed when we were against the top teams. We got punished a lot for our mistakes, but we've been working on it this week, and overall it was really clean this weekend, this match.
Looked very clean, and I know that that's got to be a good feeling as you guys get ready for your match tomorrow. What are some of the things that you guys worked on over the week, if you don't mind sharing?
We worked on a lot of communication and coordinating off of CC, and just generally just being more of a team rather than individual players.
Well, I want to talk to you about your Li Ming build, because I remember way back a couple BlizzCons ago coming up to you and asking you about not taking dominance, and it seemed really scary to me, but you were able to pull it off, and again, you show that here today. How confident are you in your Li Ming plays that you don't really need that? Is it more the confidence in your team to back you up, or that you just know that your positioning is so sound that you're able to put in the damage without needing that?
I just don't think Li Ming's a hero that needs the sustain from dominance. I feel like generally when you're going in, you're getting kills, you blink in, and then you get the reset, and then you either blink out if you're not safe, or you're just fine. And you should never really be low on HP as Li Ming. You just have so much range and so much safety.
Well, I think you have more than proved your point. You looked awesome today. Congrats, and I'll send you over to Jayhow.
Ranged and safety. Li Ming, Chromie, Sergeant Hammer. We know that you play a wide variety of heroes, and I think a lot of it is, for me, seeing you and Draded develop as a backliner. You are obviously very familiar with this composition when you have Justin and Buds there, who you've played with multiple times over several years. But with you and Draded, shared hero pools, it's not really there. But how is it developing another player into this fold that you guys are still, it seems like you are still trying to figure out how to make this work better than it has so far?
I mean, I think his hero pool isn't an issue. Like, overall, he plays more of the flex role, and then I play the main ranged most of the time. And it's just been us trying out different compositions and trying to figure out what's actually effective and the best strategy.
Well, you guys have tried out a lot of composition. We've seen the most diverse hero pool, I think, of anybody, especially in North America, but maybe globally right now. Is there a point where you guys find a hero pool and narrow it down, or is flexibility just your MO?
I think at some point we're probably going to focus on single heroes coming into playoffs. If there's playoffs, there aren't playoffs, are there? I'm crazy.
Not before Western Clash. Just in if you're not number one seed.
Once we get to Western Clash, we'll definitely figure out what we really want to be focusing on and what heroes and compositions we want to focus on. I think right now we're still not 100% sure about the meta, and we're still trying to figure out exactly how we want to draft and strategize.
I think the key word that I heard there was when we make it to Western Clash. Obviously, you guys dropped to Tempo Storm and Heroes Hearth. And you guys still have the aspiration to be a top 4 team, but it's not a guarantee just yet. You've got some tough matches coming up. What is the confidence level? I mean, you're speaking as if it's a foregone conclusion. I think a lot of us expect you to be there, but is the confidence, is it shook after last weekend? Or are you guys just like, look, we're still figuring it out? Where is the confidence with this team?
I think it's going back up again. Definitely Heroes Hearth and Tempo Storm are the 2 strongest teams that we're going to have to play against before Western Clash. And playing against them early gives us a lot of time to fix our mistakes, because we weren't getting punished for mistakes a lot of the time previously. And now it really got put in our face that we need to improve and work on things to really make sure that we go to the Western Clash and we can be competitive.
Well, competitive you guys are. Obviously, tough series last weekend, but you guys rebounded here to start this weekend, and it looked very good. So congrats on the victory today.
Thanks.
Prisma, the next match that you guys have is tomorrow, and that is one for Western Clash implications for you guys somewhat, but then also for Endemic too. How are you guys feeling about that match? Any thoughts about where that's going to be?
It's going to be on West servers, so it'll be a little bit harder than today.
All right. Well, I mean, like, what's the record going to be?
Overall,
but that's good too. Thank you.
It'll be a 3-0, I think.
In
This is a
whose
much easier
favor?
week.
I'm going to guess that you mean with you guys.
Us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck to you guys in that match. We'll look forward to seeing more of your plays. You guys were great today. And if you have any shout-outs, now's your time.
Shoutouts to Octalysis, our sponsor, and shoutouts to my teammates. Just overall working hard this week and making sure that we show up.
All right. Thank you for joining us, and congrats again. It's going to be on West.
I mean, do we even say it? I mean, we know.
Yeah. But it's great to see Octalysis bounce back. I think that's the biggest thing for me to take away from this, is that I had a lot of questions about morale after losing a reverse sweep, which is about as rough as it gets, and then being 3-0'd or 0-3'd on top of that. That is a harsh weekend, harsh realities, but he seems like, you know, he's facing that logically. They're the best teams in the league, and we got punishment, and we are moving forward from it.
Yeah, I mean, you pointed this stat out last week. It grew after their series. 35 heroes played in 3 series. That is an astronomical number in such a short amount of time. Some teams will go an entire season and barely play more heroes than that. That's why, to me, I had to ask about the narrowing the hero pools. It seems like that's going to be a longer-term focus, as he said, when they make it to Western Clash, and that is a win, not an if for them. But when they make it to Western Clash, I think that will be something they have to narrow in on, because bringing that style of play, the ultra-diverse, we've seen teams try that. The old Gale Force team, we've seen Tempo Storm even try that last year. You just come in trying to do too much, and it doesn't always pan out. And the teams that start to narrow their focus and can really hone in on their strengths, I think for them it's there. And for Prismat, one of their strengths, Li Ming. Not too bad.
It was a good Li Ming. Well, you know what? There's another Li Ming player who's pretty darn good, and that's Crowan. He and the rest of Hero